They said we couldn't do it. They said we couldn't get past 100 episodes. They said we couldn't get past 200 episodes. Well, we here at Film Seizure have made it to 350 episodes, although I wasn't on all of them. So congratulations to Jeff and Jason on this
and
monumental.
to you, Chuck. Woo!
Yeah. So for 350, we thought we'd do something a little special, usually on the, those big marker moments. And this week we are doing Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. An early Kubrick masterpiece. I'm Chuck Moore. With me today are pre-mentioned Jeff. Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. I'm concerned that everybody's going to see the big board. The big board.
The big board.
Big board.
It would only have one more episode listed on it right now. So
right. Yeah.
and Jason Oliver. Jason, how are you?
Always a good day when we're talking about Kubrick.
Yeah,
Isn't it? It's great. It's great.
It is great. I just realized.
Is this our fifth Kubrick?
Go ahead,
Kubrick.
Chuck. I'm gonna count them up.
I think this is our sixth Kubrick.
I was just gonna say I realized that we did last week. We did Collateral, and we'd recently done a Michael Mann movie, or fairly recently, and we recently did a Kubrick movie. So we're kind of revisiting directors kind of quickly here. This is our
it's
sixth.
kind of interesting. We've almost covered exactly half of Kubrick's last half of his filmography. Outside
what's
Full Metal Jacket?
Full Metal Jacket's the only one we've skipped over. Yeah.
We've done everything now, including Strangelove, through the end of his career. We haven't done anything before Strangelove. But
is this the beginning of the end of his career?
What?
Strangelove? Is this the beginning of
You hadn't even made 2001: A Space Odyssey yet.
That's what I'm saying. You're saying this is the back half.
This is the back half.
This is the beginning of the back half.
This is right in the middle. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's what that means.
Okay.
Well, I will say this though. Jason and I have done one of his very early films in a very different way.
Oh yeah, for B Movie Enema, Fear and Desire. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a whole episode of that on B Movie Enema, the series. That was a season finale.
I would say that before we're done, we'll probably get to The Killing. Paths of
Glory. Yeah.
I mean, The Killing to me is like maybe top 3 or 4 for me. And Lolita. I mean, I think Lolita is the perfect kind of pair to Strangelove. I mean, this is a guy who made 2 comedies. Kubrick, and he made them back to back, both of them with Peter Sellers in Lolita, Dr. Strangelove. And he took serious books and turned them into satires, and very, very funny satires. To back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, this is the only way this movie could really work, right? Like as a satire. Like,
if you want to see how it doesn't, if you want to see this version, almost the exact same story, but not as satire, watch Failsafe. We'll see here in a minute, because Failsafe is very, very tied to the production of this movie, Dr. Strangelove. Sorry, my computer's having weird things. Do I sound weird?
Yes.
Well, thanks for telling me.
Yeah, I was just about to say something, but we figured that was something was going on. So while you get that sorted out, okay. This is a movie that I think there's a lot of comedies from this era, right, that would not age exactly well, or of a certain type that would feel very old fashioned, right? Like we talked about It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, where that feels like of a certain period of time that has passed, right? This movie, on the other hand, I think this movie is as relevant today as it has as it was 60 years ago. I don't think this movie has really aged at all. I mean, like, I think I think it is just as funny today as it would be any other time in history.
There's something depressing about that too, because the reason why it still works and the reason why it's so funny, I learned a goddamn thing.
You're still doing that.
Yeah, you're still doing the thing.
I would say that to expound on what Jason's saying and what I was going to say is, like, war is timeless, right? Like, war will always be able to be made fun of or satirized, but the stuff the reasons that the general, or I can't remember if he's a general, goes rogue, and the things he says, I wouldn't expect to hear stuff like that today. And we do.
Yes.
Like, it's weird that is timeless.
Yeah.
And it makes this movie so much better. It's like, it feels kind of prescient, even though, it's not. Like, there's no way that anyone would have thought we'd still be talking about this shit in 60 years.
Coincidence. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's the idea that, it's like, you got to stick with the tried and true, conspiracy theories, right? Fluoride sucks. Women are succubi. It's like, what else you got? What else is a good old fashioned, like, it's like why do people still think the Jews are in charge of everything? It's like, holy shit, guys. That's
never going to go away.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that probably won't. Yeah, it's Anyway, but like some of that other stuff where it's like this kind of faux, like this kind of weird mumbo jumbo about your own personal health. It's like your
bodily fluids,
your bodily fluids. Yeah, it's like, we talked about it about a month ago or so, the language of fascism. There's a reason why the Proud Boys aren't allowed to nut. It's to keep them angry and fucked up. And it's like, it's all of that fluid shit. It's weird. It's weird. It's fucking weird, guys. It's weird.
Are people like watching Strangelove and formulating their like current opinions? Is that, I know people think there's war rooms because of this movie, even though they don't really exist.
Saw a meme. I was like, with the whole fluoridation of water, I was looking up stuff about that. And I was like, I guarantee you, I bet you people have made a meme about this, making fun of RFK. Well, I looked it up, and the only memes I could find were of people using it to defend their position on fluoridation of water, because they were like, Kubrick warned us 50 years ago or whatever, 60 years ago. And I'm just like, oh my God, these people are morons. People are morons. And I was like, please tell me there's some normal people in the comments. And I looked and see, it's like, yes, there was many people who were taking them to task for not recognizing satire, which has long been a problem of
media literacy is fucked in this country. Like on the right and the left, media literacy is fucked. We are fucking cooked, guys.
It's people can't understand the song "Born on the 4th of July," or "Born in the USA." Excuse me.
Right.
Like, they have no chance of understanding this movie who the bad guy actually is.
Of course not.
Right? Like they
probably think they're watching a tense thriller. Yeah. And they're probably on the side of Sterling the Hate and Jack the Ripper.
Jack D. Come on, his name is Jack D. Ripper.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
And I guarantee you, Jack the Ripper, 30 years ago now, was probably walking around talking about women taking his fucking fluids.
Well, I don't know.
Why did he? He probably was a Mason.
He was taking them back.
He just did a silly thing. That's all he did. He did a silly thing.
It's just a silly thing. Yeah.
Oh my.
It's like, my God. It's insane to me how we can watch this movie, and it's like, while you were getting your the equipment settled there, I was saying it's like it's crazy to me how this movie feels like it could have just been made last year. I mean,
Yep.
It's depressing that so many of
Right
these
down
things
to the
are-
fact that it pits our own U.S. forces against one another
yes,
in this movie, and it's like, holy hell! I mean, that is such an allegory for our times right now, right?
yeah.
Yep.
And instead of the general having the codes, he now has a Twitter account, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you just put your bullshit out.
But even down to like that bullshit cryptology, right? That he's into, Jack D. Ripper, with like connecting letters and words. It's like, oh my god, like that shit is still prevalent today. That's like basically all of QAnon is that bullshit.
yes,
we've had technological advancement, but no human advancement. in the last
yes,
6
pretty
years.
much,
Yeah,
pretty much.
yes,
And considering like how people are reacting to like drones in the sky, we're peasant brained. That's exactly what we are. We all think that there's something up, and like you've got the bullshit faith people saying they're demons, literally saying they're fucking demons. You've got some people looking at stars, and it's like, bro, that's just Orion's belt. It's been there forever. It's been there for fucking ever. You
What about the
fucking
chemtrails,
moron.
Jeff? What about the chemtrails?
They're turning the fucking frogs gay. Anyway, I've been see. This is why I say, I should write a gigantic PhD on like the crazy shit that just shows up and floating around Facebook and YouTube.
You don't have to, because
I know.
I mean, you should.
This movie
I
is it.
support you, but this movie is it in a
Yes.
time where there wasn't like as big a microphone, right?
Yes.
It blew me away. I haven't seen this movie in a while, and it blew me away with how relevant it is. I couldn't believe it. Yep.
Yeah, I was like, I sat there and
And
stared.
honestly, as funny as it is, it depressed me. Yeah.
Well, okay, so I don't know how many times this has come up here, but like Kurt Vonnegut is my favorite author. Always has been, probably always will be. This is like if somebody made a perfect Kurt Vonnegut movie that he didn't write, this is it. Like it is
I can see that.
exactly that kind of satire that makes you laugh at the most horrific things imaginable. And it's the only way, like why I think that's the only way this could have been delivered. And I know you were starting to say something about failsafe, Jason. And I know that like Kubrick had to like bring them to court so he could beat that movie to the theaters, basically.
Well, what was this movie released under?
Well, so
Yeah, Columbia.
Yes.
He had Columbia Pictures buy it because it was independently funded. He had Columbia Pictures buy Failsafe as a finished product and then release it after Strangelove.
and then,
Well,
movie
and then-
had like big stars in it too, right? Like,
Oh, huge stars. Yeah.
yeah, and Red Alert, which
and it
this
was-
is what this is based on. Peter George also sued the authors of Failsafe, the book that was based on, because it was basically word for word the same. And the funny thing is, Red Alert is not a satire, but he was completely complicit with Stanley Kubrick doing this to the point that he wrote the novelization of this version of his story.
yes, he did, which I'm surprised Terry Southern didn't do that. But
Well,
it's not
there's your Vonnegut feel, right?
Terry Southern,
Terry
right?
Southern. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's a satirist and a really smart, like
Yeah.
political dude where he likes politics or talking about politics. You're wrong about one thing though, Jeff. This movie isn't based upon a book. It's based upon a book. Did you notice the title card has a misspelling?
No.
Oh, is it?
There's no D.
Oh,
on it.
really?
Yeah.
Base,
Oh,
all your
says-
base belong to us.
Yes.
See, he was already like preaching on memes, you know.
Yes, it
One of the
was.
very
yeah,
first memes.
he was like, I can Jason Oliver this and mistype it. Yeah.
It was the guy. It was the guy
There's
who
no
made
edit
the.
button, no.
the
After
guy
it's,
who made the-
after it's printed, it's
Yeah.
like too late.
Too late. It's too late. We've already fucked it up.
The titles are fucking rad in this movie. I like
Yeah.
the
The
hand scrawled.
Yeah.
The hand scrawled all in caps. It's just good
all
stuff.
and full screen too. Yeah.
Yes, and then you have that
wonder-
sweet. Oh, go ahead, Jason.
I was just gonna say that font. I wonder what other movies have used that, because I know that that's the same font as Where the Wild Things Are. Spike Jonze is Where the Wild Things Are. Same font. Pretty sure.
Yeah, and this was some dude's handwriting. I think it's not a font.
I think that yeah, it became a font because of
Yes.
yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, I was just going to talk about the beginning, because you have the fuselage, the sexy time with the planes that you're like, if you didn't know this was a comedy, you'd be like, why are they showing this right now? But it is just a giant two planes having sex.
Yep.
It's like, I can't imagine being in the 60s and seeing this movie. Like, because it's like so the president had just died, right? Mm-hmm. America is mourning that. The president is a huge character in this movie, and he's not the smartest guy. He's the straightest character, like played straight in the movie.
But he's also very funny too, though. I mean, that's the thing about like Peter Sellers in this.
So good.
This is maybe the best comedy performance ever on screen, and it's 3 different unique comedy performances. It's perfect.
Right, and the titular character is not even the best one, in my opinion.
Oh, you think the guy at the base is?
Mandrake is the best.
Mandrake is great, because Mandrake is me whenever I see these motherfuckers saying their crazy shit. Like, I'm like, oh, really? Oh, it's like, it's like, how else do you respond to that?
Yes. He's so British with the crazy American. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. But yeah, so no, but it's like, it's so good as like, and I mean, George C. Scott is so fucking good in this too. Like, it's, and he's like on a whole other level of a performance, like on a comedic level.
Yeah, I read, this is funny because George C. Scott is very like, he's a thespian, right? Like, he was a stage actor. He was a very well-respected dude.
Yes.
I read that Kubrick was like, okay, do this scene straight. Now do it way over the top. And George C. Scott did not want to do the way over the top stuff. He's like, just do it. And then he ended up using all of the over the top shit he did, which pissed George C. Scott off.
That's an amazing story. I've never heard that before. I was going to say, I think this is George C. Scott's best performance.
He's fantastic.
Ever.
Yeah.
This is the best of his career. He's so funny. He's so funny.
I'm betting Lloyd Bridges watched this 50 times before he filmed Airplane.
Yeah.
Like, the gum was like all the drugs he does in Airplane, basically. Like,
yeah. Well, and then like because there are times with the gum that plays as if he's pouting. It's like a stand-in for being told to basically sit down.
It's petulant child.
Yeah,
yes.
Child,
kind of.
Yeah. And oh my God. And it's just, oh my God, this movie.
He has so many great lines. He's always kind of like the character who is saying the dumb thing out loud, right? Like he's almost like the object of the the satire throughout the movie. He's who we're making fun of.
But he's also very cocksure about everything he says, right?
Which it makes him even funnier, because he does, however, have moments where he's got to kind of like, remember, Plan D. This is the one you approved. He's telling him like everything that's in it, and all of the fail safes, which crack me up, because everything that's a fail safe in this movie is a thing that works against them.
Well, and the thing is like, the other thing about him is, I mean, he's got the great line. It's like, oh, it's not like we're not going to get our hair mussed a little bit, but we're talking like 10, 20 million times.
10, 20 million people.
Yeah, it's like, I mean.
But then he hears himself, right? and he goes back into himself, right?
Yes.
It's so good. Yeah. It's
Oh,
such a great performance.
one of his last lines
That's
is
the best one.
oh when the guy when it's like, do we think that they would be able to hit their target?
He's like, yes.
Yes, and he's like putting all like the superlatives on, and then he realizes what he's saying. He's like, and then he just
You've
kind of
never
backs
seen these-
away.
You've never seen these guys. It's incredible.
All right. So we're kind of going through every scene in the movie in a haphazard way. Maybe we should set it up. So we have
There's essentially 3 settings. Yeah.
Yeah, we have General Ripper who's in the base, and what he does, and we don't know this, it's played kind of straight other than the planes fucking in the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
there's a good overlap voice telling us what's going on in the war with the Russian, or the Cold War. I don't think it wasn't called the Cold War
very
until later,
serious.
but
Yes.
it's very,
A veil of seriousness. Yeah.
yes. It's like, this is the failsafe, right? Or the movie failsafe, or
And
the
it
movie.
mentions the doomsday machine, like this ominous specter of a doomsday machine that may or may not exist that the Russians have. Yeah.
Yeah, and so this guy, we don't know this. He sends a code to one of his bombers, or all of his bombers, that are all sitting 2 hours outside of their target outside of Russia. And he sends a code that you go bomb your target. If you can't hit your target, hit your second target. And then we have the second setting, which is the plane with Slim Pickens and Darth Vader.
Yep. Oh yeah. Rest in peace, James Earl Jones. That's
Yeah.
yeah. So this was CNN.
And they're the driver kind of the story, right? Like, whenever they're on screen, we know we're progressing.
Yes.
Right? Like, time has passed kind of thing.
And yet some of
reminded
those
the
scenes,
seriousness. Sorry, go ahead, James.
yeah, no, what I was just going to say was it seems like their scenes seem so straight and serious, but then I also chuckle during their scenes, not just because of Slim Pickens, but because we go through the entire fucking process of doing a thing, and it seems so redundant and stupid and silly, and it's like,
Well, all the technical words, and I'm just like, sure, whatever.
sure, whatever. And then, like, at one point, they're talking about locking something, and all it is just this little plastic flap that fits over 2 other little plastic flaps, and it's locked into place. And it's like, I know that's probably somewhat accurate, but goddamn, that seems really silly.
There's a test switch and a failsafe switch for like everything in the ship, and they all fry out. At
A backup ship.
Yeah,
A backup flip for the flip.
backups. Yeah.
Well,
It almost feels like Mel Brooks. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It used it in Spaceballs.
Spaceball's the flip switch. I agree with that. But when you have like you said, a 3 set place, right? And 2 of the sets are kind of iconic. The War Room specifically is like,
No, that's Ken Adam. That's the reason why he couldn't work on Goldfinger.
really.
Yeah.
And then that plane, because would that be the Navy or the Air Force?
It was an Air Force, because all around the Air Force base was peace is our business.
Yes, but they wouldn't allow them like to have access to build the set.
Yeah.
Like, to see the plane.
Oh yeah, you couldn't see. Yeah, you couldn't see the war room. You couldn't see. Yeah, but yeah,
There is no war room. Theoretically, in there's no such thing.
well,
There are such thing as bombers, though, and they weren't allowed to see us.
right. And we know that there's no such thing as a war room because we saw the Situation Room when Bin Laden was hunted down and killed. And we saw just some guys sitting around like a conference room table.
Oh yeah, it's like a tiny little conference room table.
Yeah.
I think it's in a bunker even. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah, I mean, it's-
economical. Yeah.
Yeah, Obama was there, Biden was there. They were all there, but they weren't like, it wasn't like some,
This is a big
Giant
board,
circular
and it's like
table.
a giant, it's just like a flat screen. Yeah.
well, it's like, here's the big board, and it's just like one of those
The
gigantic,
flipping white
yeah,
ones.
like the flipping of the papers.
It's
Yeah.
like, and it's maybe a Sony Bravia. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, they probably wheeled the TV into the situation.
They probably did. They probably
Oh,
did.
yeah,
On a cart, and it's an old
yeah.
tube
It's an old
television on a
tube,
cart.
yeah.
They're gonna
Yes.
watch the fucking Challenger explode.
Obama didn't want to let go of the CRT. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the White House AV nerd came in with it. They had
Yeah,
to
the
sign it
VCR
out.
attached to it. Yeah.
With the RGB codes.
Yeah,
The overhead projectors in the corner. Yeah.
Dude, they do that. They do that. What is that called? The projector where you put the clear paper on it and write on it and project.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
the overhead
the
projector.
overhead
Yeah,
projector.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what it's called. You just said that. My bad. It's been a while since I was in grade school. Shit.
All their white papers for like their plans and everything was mimeographed, so you can smell it, and
Oh my god, like smell-o-vision.
yeah,
But we were talking about the seriousness of everything on the plane. But yes, it is also countered by Slim Pickens because the man goes to a safe, puts his flight helmet into the safe, and takes out a cowboy hat.
yes,
Puts it on. Like they've got the mission, they've gotten the orders to drop nuclear warheads. He's wearing his cowboy hat.
yeah. Well, and I like that. Like they all have their own specifically like titled like envelopes. Like the pilot gets this one, the co-pilot gets this one, the radar man, and then but like he is just reading off his to everyone. It's like. So they all say the same thing?
Yeah,
Why
they all
don't they
have the
just
same
not
copy.
say anything? Yeah, it's like
Oh God, when he's listing off all the things that's in their supply kit. Like, oh,
yes.
you can have a hell of a good weekend in Vegas with all that. And he's right. It's like $200. There's
Yeah, you got at least one condom.
yeah,
Yeah.
some prophylactic, some ladies' hosiery. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
7 or 8 packs of gum.
Yeah. I guess this is a weird aside. The original line was you could have a hell of a good weekend in Houston with all that stuff.
JFK,
Because
man.
JFK, they overdubbed it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's weird how much like being not from that time, right? Like I mentioned the Challenger. That was like the thing when we were kids. We didn't have a president get killed. We had a president get shot. Like Reagan got shot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
While
But we were
kids.
real little when that happened though.
Yeah, but even the real little kids who were around when JFK got shot, like it impacted the world like way bigger than I remember anything impacting the world. Like this movie got pushed back. They changed lines in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously the biggest thing in our lifetime was 9/11. But
We were much older. I meant,
yeah. I mean, and the only thing, because I think about like my nephews who were born before 9/11, they don't really have a functioning idea of what the world was like before 9/11. So it's not quite the same thing.
right.
You
They
know,
get to keep their shoes on going through the airport. They don't know that.
Yeah. They don't remember that. They don't remember going to the terminal with your loved ones and seeing them off there as
Or
opposed
people
to
waiting at the gate for you. And all.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that you're right. That is probably the biggest one. And then COVID obviously is another big one.
Yeah.
But anyway, this movie had to change because JFK died. Is all I was commenting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when they said like the Houston line, they were just concerned about Texas in general then, right? Because he was killed in Dallas.
I think it was Dallas, actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
think he says Dallas.
I don't know. I think I read Houston, but yeah, maybe. But regardless, they changed it because of the JFK thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Vegas though, that makes a lot of sense to me anyway. It's like,
It makes way more sense.
yeah,
Really.
It's funnier, honestly. Yeah.
yeah. Especially at that period where Vegas was a little grimier and a little more taboo probably then as it is today.
You probably need the gun.
Yeah, or at the very least, you're not taking your family there to see a show in Vegas.
Right.
You're leaving the wife and kids at home.
And then they don't have a house when you get back.
Right. It's like, yeah, sorry, some guys are coming.
All right. So the general. Is he a general? I keep doing this. I just need to once and for all remember.
Yeah, he's a
what
general.
He is. Yeah, Brigadier General Jack D. Ripper. Yep. He sends the codes to that bomber, or all of the bombers, but we only see that one specific one. They have the funny, like, confirming it's actually the right code. Like, this has never been sent to everyone. But
well, and they defer to the concept that, you know, Ripper wouldn't send this if some serious stuff hasn't just happened.
Right.
Not even considering that he might be a fruitcake. You know, like
the Eastern Seaboard has been destroyed or something.
Yeah, it's like they don't think that he's insane. And the same thing goes for, you know, like, I mean, it's just because at first we've got Mandrake. He believes, oh, okay, well, this is just you know, he's following the chain of command.
Oh, hell, are the Russians involved, sir?
He thinks it's an exercise.
Well, he gets to that point when he turns on the radio.
Yeah.
But by the way, we need to mention that the Air Force Base is Burpelson.
Yeah.
Burpelson.
That fucking kills me.
Yeah.
Peace is our profession. Everywhere.
Peace is our profession. So, yeah.
There's a lot of funny names like Premier Kiss Off.
Yeah.
What was the president's name? Did I write that down? I don't think his was funny.
No, it was Merk and Muffley.
Merk and Muffley. Yeah,
that is funny.
That's pretty funny.
It's actually very funny.
Oh my goodness. That might be the funniest one, actually.
Merkins are quite muffly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Which is funny because there is only one woman in this entire movie, and she's only in for one scene.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because Tracy Reed is also the subject of the Playboy that they're reading in the airplane.
Oh, funny. Huh.
She's the centerfold in that, but yeah.
It makes sense though, like, because this movie ultimately is about sex in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Right?
And weird stuff about sex too.
And weird stuff about sex.
Yeah.
Like,
so there's no room for women in this to counteract this.
It's that sexual tension or sexual frustration that's growing.
It's insecurity. Again, the language of fascism is sexual insecurity.
Right. And they have nowhere to release their sexual frustration, right? Until they're 1 to 10 or whatever. Which is fucking hilarious later. My God. But we don't know instantaneously that Jack Ripper is insane. Right.
Right.
We know he put the code out. We're kind of in the same boat of thinking, oh, maybe something bad did happen somewhere that we have not seen.
Yeah, because the first time we see him, he is just kind of sitting in his office and he's like pondering. So it's like, well, it could be serious. Maybe he is thinking about, you know, the loss of life that's about to happen.
I wouldn't want to send those codes out if I was a normal human being. I wouldn't want to blow up any country. And we had this conversation about in the last week. Like, I would be one of the people sitting in that chair saying, I don't want to kill 20 million people overnight.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the biggest genocidal person since Hitler, as Merkel says later.
Hey, it's time that you think about the American people and not your place in the history books.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like, I don't know if I really want to be Captain Kirk because I'm sending a lot of people wearing red to their death. Yeah. You know, it's like, I don't know if I like that idea, but you know, I get it. So it's like you do there is a little bit of room for, you know, it's like, oh, he sent, you know, he's gotten the word that he needs to send his guys in to bomb, you know.
And what that does at his base is it shuts down the base. They have to confiscate all the radios so you can't trust anyone because they may be Russian spies. Like, this is all real kind of American, not anxiety, what's the word? Paranoia,
yeah.
At the time, like, this shit happened with people, not normally people in any position of power. At least we don't know of anyone that's done anything like this.
Right.
But like the normal everyday person was terrified of the Russians in the 60s. We had the Cuban Missile Crisis like 2 years earlier, a year earlier.
Yeah. And
right. It wasn't too far in the past.
And and people like Jack D. Ripper were telling normal people what to be worried of and what to be scared of, and he's seen the steely eyes of the enemy on the battlefield, you know, and there's a complicity to just defer to that power or to that authority, you know.
All that stuff's been confirmed, right? Like there were missiles in Cuba by the Russians. It's not like the weapons of mass destruction shit, right?
No, it was for
satellite photos. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, it was.
It was a power play by the Russians because they could put them in communist Cuba, and it was.
I thought so too, but we've seen throughout history that other leaders
pulling out my big dick moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like
right as
probably
you put your balls away, your nuts away. Sorry.
Yep. It was probably minutes to nuclear war that was diverted. Probably by James Bond. I'm just going to say James Bond saved the day.
Well, it wasn't Slim Pickens.
or Slim there was no. We know it's not him. Yeah.
But yeah, Mandrake gets the radio and he hears. He decides to turn it on and he hears music and he's like, there wouldn't be music if there was a fucking mass destruction. Like this has to be a test. And he goes to Mandrake. He's like, we have to put the codes in. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
And Mandrake locks them into his office. And this is when he goes into his whole spiel about fluids and fluidization of water and how it's all a communist plot. But one of the other things that happens also is in the midst of all of this, once the word got out once the order was given, George C. Scott, who's General Buck Turgidson,
close to Turgidson.
Yeah. He's taking a Turgidson when he gets the call. Yes. And his secretary mistress, Miss Scott, is like, answering the phone, which is so funny how she talks to the other general.
Yeah, she's been in his bedroom too.
Oh. Yes, because it goes from she tells Turgidson the proper name, but refers to him as a pet name on the phone,
like Bucky.
Yeah. And so basically he doesn't like, she's like, well, they, so she's relaying all the information, which is funny because that's all top secret. So no way it would go through her. No. But she's yelling it to the bathroom and he's like, well, why don't he call, what's his name? The Ripper. And it's like, yeah, he's tried many times. It's like, there's a problem. So he decides he's just going to mosey on down to the war room and see what's shaking down there. It's like so nonchalant about this, but they've all collected now in the war room, to which he has to tell President Muffley, it's like, yeah, so one of our guys have given the order for, and it's like, I think we should just kind of go through with it, or we're gonna be annihilated.
Yeah, if we don't act now, we're gonna get annihilated. So just get all the planes up there and go kill them.
Yeah, and what's left over? Yeah, 10, 20 million people. It's not too bad.
Depending on the brakes.
Depending on the brakes. Yeah.
But the president, also played by our boy Peter Sellers, he does have a conscience. He doesn't want to kill everyone. He's friends with the Russian premier. Thank you. Some of those phone calls are just fucking hysterical.
Oh God, just I love comedy when it's just one side of the phone like that. Like I just love comedy bits like that.
And you just know it's improv. Like
exactly. Yeah. And it's like the one thing that kills me is I'm coming through fine. That's great. Well, I'm glad that we're both coming through clearly.
You're fine. I'm fine. We're both fine.
Yes.
That's the best. The best conversation, is the first one when Dimitri is drunk.
Yes.
Because the ambassador is like, here he is, but tread carefully. I think he's drunk or he's been drinking or something like that. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
plays that side of the conversation so well.
He's like, of course we're friends. I would make a friendly call.
Yeah,
But
I'm not
this
only
isn't one
calling
of
because
those
it's
times,
serious.
Timothy.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
He sounds so American too. Like he does a fucking wonderful accent here. Like
he really, it's
almost
good.
don't know it's him.
Right.
Like you know it's him, but you almost don't know it's him. But yeah, so they're I don't know.
Well, this is where they find out, or he's telling Dimitri. But before this, I love the conversation where they're just trying to figure out how this could have happened, right?
Yeah.
Like George C. Scott is trying to explain to him that there is a protocol that the president approved that when the president is incapacitated, that the generals have a certain amount of leeway to go ahead and
Respond
to nuclear strike. Like it's supposed to be a response order, not a
not a first strike.
to declare war.
Right.
And it's just so funny because Sellers is playing it like he's the president, like he knows, he remembers, but he clearly doesn't, right?
Right.
And George C. Scott is kind of like he's sort of like walking the babe through the woods at this point. Right. This is kind of his moment because he's like, well, if you remember, sir, and all of this, like, trying to kind of patronize him. But what it turns out is that, I mean, they've got a rogue on their hands. They've come to that conclusion. What does Peter Sellers say at one point? He says something like, "That's not in the spirit of the policy," or something like that. And George C. Scott is like, well, I think that General Ripper has already invalidated that.
Validated that. Yeah. and says it kind of like he's ribbing the guy, and he's like, he's already,
like he almost like later when he's like, I wish we had one of them doomsday machines.
Well, the thing is also it's like it's like the concept of why they have this thing in place is a perfect jab at like when like bureaucracy is kind of over the top, right?
Too much red tape or too much.
Exactly. So it's like, so in one way, it's kind of that, right? Like there's a plan for every plan that goes wrong or whatever, right? And then, but at the same time, it's also a knock at the idea of there not being an actual, real, true bureaucracy for this. Cause like, where would be the vice president in all of this?
Right.
You know, and so it's like, it's the idea of opportunistic people getting to do opportunistic things. And it's a little bit of both.
Another failsafe being the actual problem. Yeah.
Yes.
Another failsafe has failed.
Right.
Yes.
Which
like the backup things later that do not work.
Yes.
Re-representation.
Every backup on that plane fails. Yeah.
Right. Until it takes one person with initiative and then the world ends.
Yes. One thing I do want to mention about before the phone call is they bring in the ambassador of Russia to get the information from him of how to contact Dimitri.
Yeah.
And there's a little fight because George C. Scott tries to take away the camera.
The little camera. Yeah.
The little camera, and he's like, he's planting this camera on me. But the best thing about that is the president comes over and he goes, gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Yeah.
Classic line. Love it.
So good.
Because later he also said, "I've never seen people act like this in the war room."
Yeah.
You know? But there was something. Oh, there was another line where George C. Scott has to read off the last message that did get out of Burpelson, where he does talk about like not taking their precious fluids and their essence and all of that. And it's like, we are still trying to figure out the meaning of that last sentence. to which Muffley is like, oh, there's no need. He's clearly not well.
Yes, he's psychotic. He's a psychotic.
He's clearly a psychotic.
The Ripper has a line that the politicians have neither the time, training, or inclination for strategic thought.
Yeah, when he says that the wars are better off not left to the generals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
But in fact, they're not better off left to the politicians, and that's why. Yeah.
So good.
So basically, the plot now is one of two things. So the planes are scrambled. Like there's nothing you can do to stop the scrambling.
They're on the big board.
They're right there. They're there. Yeah. You're going to see the big board.
They've been ordered to turn off their communication to a certain frequency, which happens to be
yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
That too. Yeah.
I was like, it's a Midwestern problem now. But yes, they turn their frequency to something nobody has except for one man, who of course is
the insane
Brigadier General, the insane guy. And Mandrake figures that out, right? So he's trying to get it off of him.
Oh God, him sweet talking Ripper is great. Like the whole time he's like,
I was feeding you the old rope there, and you would
oh yes, it's a good idea to get yourself cleaned up. Yes, sir. Yes.
I love this too, that this is a little technological thing that cracked me up. There's about 17,000 combinations of a three-letter code. It would take them 2.5 days to transmit.
and they have 2 hours, right?
Less than.
Yeah, but when Turgison talks about the time,
you could crack that in like seconds. Now, this is my point.
Right? But but Turgison's kind of proud of the fact that we'll get it in a couple of days. You know? But no, so you've got like the planes are gone. It's like at this point you've got to figure out the code that will send them back, that will make them turn around.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're dropping bombs.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the war room trying to figure out, it's like, okay, how can we make sure that they can shoot down the planes, or at least aware that we are trying to solve this? Then at the base, you have Mandrake locked in a room with Ripper and
the president has also sent another contingency.
He's right, because there's that guy who's like, oh yeah, my guys, we'll just brush them aside. They're getting fucking massacred outside. It's like there's no brushing aside of anybody.
Right, and they're not allowed to talk to them. Like this is all set up in the beginning, right? Like no matter who you see, if they get within 200 yards of the place,
unless you know them personally, you fire by. Yes, they might be enemies wearing our uniforms. Yeah,
and the guys, even when the army, I think it's the army that shows up. The guy's like, man, those trucks look really good. I wonder where they got them.
Yeah, probably the surplus.
Yeah, probably bought them from the surplus.
Yeah. All right, open fire.
But it's like a perfectly executed plan by the general.
Yes, and the only reason why it ultimately fails is because he hears the gunfire stop. And he can only believe that his guys didn't win, because Mandrake tries to say, oh, it sounds like we won. And he's like, no, they've disappointed. My children have disappointed me.
Well, he sees them retreat.
He sees some people surrendering. Yeah. But
I mean, we
does
later find out that he's right, because the forces that the president sent do indeed prevail and get into the building. Yeah.
But it takes a while longer than they thought.
But he is a man of his convictions.
Right. And so he's going to go and clean himself up in a way.
He's going to Brad Pitt himself from Babylon. Yeah.
Yes. Oh God. The small reaction that Sellers has to that moment is fucking gold, because there's also a comedy cut where it immediately smash cuts back to another one of the locations, but he has just enough time to kind of react to hearing the gunshot and like, oh.
But yeah, before he kills himself, he's talking to Mandrake about how he doesn't deprive himself of women, but he deprives them of his fluids.
Of his essence.
His essence. And Peter Sellers, he goes, "Yes, Jack." Like, I don't even know what it means, but it's so good. I'm like,
well, there's also
with him here.
Then there's also the whole thing about, it's like, well, have you ever been a prisoner of war, Mandrake's? Like, oh yes. And this is when he talks about, like, yeah, he was held by the Japanese, and it's like, at least those guys make good cameras, or whatever it is. Or it's like, damn it if they don't make great cameras, because he can't just hate them because he's not a freaking psychopath.
But the reason Jack kills himself is because he knows he will talk. And that's why he asked about whether Mandrake, he's like, "Did you talk?" And he's like, "No, they didn't even want me to talk."
Right. Well, he's like, "Well, I just know that in a few minutes they're going to have a time with me," or whatever it is that he said, because he sees it coming. But
and Mandrake's trying to tell him, I was like, yes, they're going to tell you. That's how it ends. You're going to tell him, trying to get him to just go ahead and give up the code now. It's like, the gig is up, but he's not thinking ahead.
Yeah. But what's funny is that, so after he kills himself, and this is when
oh God, when he does that, right before he does it, he says, Mandrake says something to him that cracks me up. Let me find my note. It's like, oh yeah, how about this? Let's play a game. I'll try and guess what the code is, and blam.
Yeah. But then, so it's like later, Colonel Bat Guano, if that's your real name, comes in, and he's like, "You've got to," it's like, "I've got to," and he thinks that, like, Guano thinks that Mandrake is to be arrested, basically, or that he's either in cahoots or is an enemy. And he's like, "No, I need to call, I really need to call the president, because I've got the code. I figured it out." Like, he knows Ripper well enough to figure out what the code is.
Well, he figures it out from the notepad. He looks at his weird, like, cryptology with peace on earth, purity of essence. He's like, I'm pretty sure it's some combination of POE. And they, but we also should mention that at this point, we know about the Doomsday Machine.
Yes.
Because
this is when we meet Dr. Strangelove,
Yes. And because back in the war room, the phone has gone back to the ambassador, and the ambassador is talking in Russian, and it doesn't sound good. And then he tells the room about the Doomsday Machine, and that's when we meet Dr. Strangelove. Yes, and Dr. Strangelove talks about it's like some weird irradiation of compound G or something like that. I don't know, but it has the capacity to create such a plume in the air that it will cover the earth for 93 years and essentially kill all human and plant life. I think
human and animal life.
Human and animal life. I mean, is it George C. Scott says human and animal life?
Yeah. Well, and because also Strangelove, I think, is the one who asks, like, why didn't you let the world know that you have this
He
thing?
says the
entire point of the Doomsday Machine is useless if you keep it a secret. Why didn't you tell anyone about it?
Because the mere existence of it should scare anyone from ever attacking Russia.
Exactly, which was the whole point of the nuclear bomb, was the fact that we had it meant that we could keep shit, silent. But or at least that was the sold idea.
He was going to announce it at some party or something.
Yeah, it's like on Monday. It was going to be on Monday. You know how the premiere likes his surprises. Yeah.
Oh God, it's so good.
But oh my God, Strangelove,
the ultimate fail-safe fails, right?
Yes, because nobody knows it exists.
Nobody knows it exists.
Well, then you have Yeah, and so one of the things about Strangelove is, of course, he has enemy hand syndrome, which I just recently learned a little bit more, and that sounds fucking terrifying. Like you could just have one of your arms just start attacking you, or doing things on its own. It's insane. Like I would like cut it off, get rid of it.
Well, what it wants to do most is Heil Hitler.
Yeah, I was gonna say what it is still Nazi.
Yeah, so good, man.
So
God,
and
that
and
last scene with him, fighting it so hard is the best.
Well, and then the whole thing with Strangelove also, he's part of Project Paperclip, which is also another jab at the way we do things. You know, it's like, because like even Buck realizes, hey, this guy might not be, do we trust this? He sounds like a kraut to me, you know, and then when they say his name and it's just Strangelove in German, he's like,
Merkwürdig.
yeah, and he's like, kraut by any other name.
Oh my God. He's nuts with his alien hand syndrome. But yeah, we covered all the important parts here. Back at the base, what did you say? Back guano. Like, probably is the best line in the whole fucking movie.
Oh, with Coca-Cola? Yeah.
Yeah. So Mandrake is trying to call the president, and he doesn't have enough change to make the call.
Get a collect call, station to station call.
Yeah, he's like, what do you call it? What do you call it? Station to station. But he's like, I want you to go over there and shoot that Coca-Cola machine and get me the change.
With the bullets, that's what they're for.
Yeah, that's what they're for, you idiot. The guy's like, well, I have it written down. Well, I have half of it written down. He's like, if you don't get the president on the phone, you're going to have to answer to the Coca-Cola company.
Because the reason why he says no first is like, that's private property.
That's private property, yes. Oh my God, it's so funny. Like the most clueless. I guess that is like a jab too. Like the army is something you just set in motion, right?
Yeah.
It's not thinking, it's just doing.
It's just following orders. And if you have to think beyond like what you were explicitly told, you're
worthless.
You have to be reasoned with somehow. Yeah.
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 I don't want to talk down to any person of service at all, but that's definitely what this movie is saying.
It's more making fun of the military industrial complex.
The construct of the
it's not making fun of any one individual. Yeah.
Right. I mean, these are all broad brushstrokes of a concept of what the roles these people are playing. Yeah. Because, as straightforward as Muffley is, as Sellers' portrayal of Muffley is, he's kind of an idiot too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not exactly handling this quite as well as he could.
No, he absolutely not. His power persuasion sucks. Yeah. Hey, how about this? Let's play a game. I'll guess what the code is. I mean, come on, right? He's kind of a moron.
Right.
But he also is like sane, right?
Well, I was talking about the president. You're talking about Mandarin.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's also kind of a moron, but he's also sane.
Right.
He's kind of like stuck. To be frank, right?
Well, and the funny thing is also the
silly thing.
The Strangelove character is actually the only character who has a workable solution to their problem.
Yeah.
As insane as that sounds, it's like, well, you can't stop it. So here's my idea. We use one of the deep mines.
Wait, are we there already?
But no, I mean, it's like we're talking about like all of the idiots in the cast. It's like, oddly enough, Strangelove is the only one who offers a solution that's actually possible. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's not the only one. The president's first solution of getting all the planes is actually a good one, right?
He even helps shoot them down. Yeah.
The least casualties. It's unfortunate it's our people, which George C. Scott's like, those are our men up there. But
that also, it's like Alexi's like, yes, I know there are our boys, but we want to help you.
Yeah. Yes. You think I'm. What does he say? You're sorry? I'm as sorry as you are.
Yeah.
Don't think you're any more sorry than I am. I could be I could be just as sorry as you are, Dimitri.
It's almost like a marriage that is going rocky or something.
Most definitely, yeah.
Like he probably pulled this from a relationship in his life. What was I going to say? So the British do get, or not the British, the Russians do get the coordinates of the planes, and they try to shoot them all down, and they get all of them. They hit all of them.
Well, they hit 4 of them.
Oh,
The rest of them they got the recall code to in time, and those planes all retreated.
You're right. I do like that cut too, like the cut from him getting, like, you're gonna have to answer to the Coca-Cola machine to them cutting to celebrating.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to go through all that bullshit of like him giving the code and like
right.
There's nothing funny in there.
No,
right. Like,
exactly. Let's get to the next funny thing. Yeah.
Yes. But yes, they get the code and they
Paul
do.
Feig would have written that though, and it would have been like 20 minutes of Will Ferrell on the phone with the president. And it would have been like who's on first.
Yeah, him trying to give the code and misunderstandings and bullshit.
Been like terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what modern comedy is today.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
It's not scripted and tight. It's just
It's
let them go. Yeah, just turn on the camera and let them go.
And sometimes funny shit does happen, but yeah.
But you have to wade through minutes and minutes of it.
Not Anchorman. Like Anchorman is almost all funny.
Yeah, but not
Maybe I haven't seen that in 30 years, but it was really funny when I first saw it. But yeah, you're right, Jason. They shoot 4 of the planes. The rest get the codes and come back, but unfortunately for the world, Slim Pickens was evasive enough that his plane is just damaged.
Yeah.
And now they're flying low to the ground, under radar. It's actually better for them because they're under radar and they're going to drop the bomb. And they're losing fuel and they have to reroute, and they end up routing to the IBMC or some complex or something.
Yeah, and his navigator's trying to do the math on it.
I can get you to this. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like we're not going to make it to our primary target on the fuel you have. And Slim Pickens just isn't having it. And then he's like, I'm sorry, but we just don't have enough fuel. And he's like, well, all right, well, what is the closest target that we can get to that's not on our mission? And they pick out some ICBM site, so that we can make it there and with the amount of fuel we have. But nothing works on the plane. They can't get the cargo bay doors to open. They're trying to blow the explosive bolts. That doesn't work. Like all the things again that should work, that they have fail safes for, like triple, quadruple redundancies. All the redundancies are broken. And you think, okay, well now finally it's working in our favor of this Murphy's Law, right? But no,
You're right.
No, Slim Pickens is going to have his war.
Yeah, having it.
They're all dependent on us back home, boys. We got to get this done. So he goes down into the cargo bay and he's sitting on one of the bombs. What are the bombs' names?
Oh, I wrote them down.
Hi there, and Dear John.
Dear John.
Yeah.
But I also like that it says nuclear warhead handle with care.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure a real nuclear weapon would not say that.
That's so good. Maybe it would, though. It's like so obvious, but maybe you have to.
Maybe. Yeah.
You can't get them mixed up with just the normal bombs, right? Oh my God. But he's able to fix the wiring, and the bomb bay doors or whatever come open, and he rides that bomb all the way down to the ground.
Yeah.
Yahoo! And
rides it like a bull.
It's like such an iconic moment.
It's very phallic.
In cinema.
Yeah.
It's so phallic. It's the cum shot, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
It's finally getting released. You know, it's like all the fluids are finally bursting forth.
Yes. And before this, the war room is finding out that, from Dimitri, that there's still a plane that they didn't get because they can only confirm 3 kills. So there's a 4th plane that that nobody has heard from, and it's obviously our plane, Slim Pickens plane. And before this, like George C. Scott's trying to like say a big grand prayer and unify everyone after this ordeal, and the guy on the phone says, "Mr. President, it's the premiere." And he's hopping mad. But yeah, they just didn't get them all. Like they did everything they could. It almost escaped doomsday, but they didn't.
So then
But in the meantime, though, that's when Dr. Strangelove gives his plan, and Turgidson is interested.
This is after the bomb drops. Yeah, this is our.
Turgison's real interested in this 100 women or 10 women to 1 man ratio or whatever it is.
The ambassador's like, yes, this is a very good plan.
Well, it is like, so we have his plan is 10 to 1 women, go deep into the depths,
The minds.
only bring the smartest and brightest. It is a
Computer
very,
can select them.
but in reality, this is the master race.
Yep.
Yes.
He's trying to create the master race. So it is Hitler winning 20 some odd years
Yep.
later, right? Like,
And the whole time he's trying to fight his hand, his arm.
because he's getting excited. He's back in that moment where he was trying to win the war, and now he can finally win it. And he's appealing to the sexual repression of all the men in the room.
Yep.
And they're all like,
there's one big concern though, as the Russian ambassador sneaks off to take more pictures of the big board, he's going to see the big board. Turgison's like, concerned about the mineshaft gap.
Yes.
It's like, what if
the gap? Now it's the mineshaft gap.
So it's like, what happens if the Russians already have, they've already done their thing and they come out just a little bit earlier and they have a bomb secret, or they try to take over our mine. It's like, I will not allow this country.
We must not allow a mineshaft gap.
And then when Strangelove comes to debate that concept, he starts to stand up. And it's Mein Führer, I can walk. That's just it. That's the end.
he's reinvigorated, right? By this whole thing. Like it's saved him. Apparently there was like a fight, a cream pie fight.
Yes. That was the original ending. Yeah. Did that ever get released?
I saw pictures of it on the Criterion disc, but not it actually occurring.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah, I mean, this ending is perfect. It's like,
it's just, they can't do anything else about it. So just end it. It's like, this is great. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
But honestly, there is something very maybe that's way too on the nose, but the, pies, all that cream.
Oh yeah, it's more of the bomb dropping.
Very overt.
Yeah.
It's
like, this is what these men think they're going to look like, and for the next 30 years, just come everywhere.
Oh God,
everywhere.
That's what
everywhere.
Saying.
I know.
Not just on the nose, on your eyes, on your face, on your
in your hair. This is terrible. It's gonna be a big old mess down there.
Hockey game.
Yes,
exactly.
Indeed. So Peter, this was one of 2 times that Peter Sellers was nominated for an Oscar, which I can't believe it was only twice. Because I think he could have been nominated 3 times for this. This is, I think, his performance in all 3 of the roles. I think it's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, comedic performance ever.
I would agree with that.
It's hard to argue.
I mean, and that's even in the same movie in which you've got another great comedic performance from George C. Scott. I mean, it's
my God, yes.
That's the competition right there. Yeah.
It's unbelievably good. It's crazy to me that this movie, this was My Fair Lady, ugh, just stole everything this year.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, Kubrick was notoriously not winning anything, right,
I
for
know,
his
he never
career.
won.
His only Oscar was for special effects. Yeah.
But yeah, My Fair Lady won Best Picture. George Cukor for My Fair Lady won Best Director. Rex Harrison won Best Actor for My Fair Lady. It's like, seriously? This was another one of the years where Peter O'Toole, he was nominated how many times and he never won?
Yeah.
Because he could very easily have won for Beckett, but him and Burton, I think, canceled each other out this year in Beckett.
Yeah, that's one of those situations you don't really see much anymore. We could have talked about that last week too, because as much as Jamie Foxx was the lead in Collateral, he couldn't be nominated against himself for Ray, and the other thing that you often don't see are anymore, and it's been like 30 years, I think, since the last time it's happened, is two acting leads in the same category. They tend to turn one into what's called a fraud nomination and put one of the leads into supporting.
Because it's not up to the Academy; it's up to who submits for what category. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the pool they're playing with. And then they'll decide if it qualifies for the category or not. And it's pretty loosey-goosey there.
Yeah.
And Beckett won Best Screenplay based on another medium, which it's kind of hard to argue with that. I mean, I at least see that a little bit better than I do My Fair Lady beating this movie. And Beckett's really good. If you've never seen it, check it. But yeah, this movie, I mean, this movie has over time has supplanted both of those movies as clearly the more impressive effort. I think this is always in the BFI like top 20. I think it's been as high as 5 or 6 before.
Well, the AFI
comedies is probably in there. Yeah,
it's number 3.
Yeah.
What's weird to me is Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail is not on the top 100 for AFI, which is fucking wild.
That's odd.
Life of Brian surely is
on
though.
there. Life of
Let
Brian
me
might
look.
Surely Life of Brian.
I would expect Life of Brian to be on there.
It's not.
Weird.
Really?
Huh. Wait, are you on AFI?
Yeah, oh, that's American,
that's why.
right?
Yeah.
Duh. Duh. But A Fish Called Wanda is 21. I would have called that a British film too.
Yeah, but it was a U.S. production company. It was Paramount.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Number 1 was on that list is Some Like It Hot, and number 2 is Tootsie, which is weird.
A lot of people think Some Like It Hot is the best. Now, my dad has a different opinion. He does not like that movie at all.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but
Tootsie is one that I would like to, because that does consistently get kind of held up as it does hold up as a comedy. So
yeah.
That's one that we'll probably do at some point down the line, I think.
Sure.
I definitely know one thing that will be coming at some point somewhere down the line on this show is after, with Peter Sellers, we got to do a Pink Panther movie soon.
Yeah.
So we'll do that somewhere down the line.
Being There would be a good one too.
Oh yeah, that's where he plays basically another idiot. And oddly enough, it probably holds up to today's way of living in America.
And talking about Sterling Hayden, we've got to get to The Killing at some point, because his performance in that is just so good.
I mean, that's a great movie.
It's one of the films.
I think one thing I worry about with this movie, in terms of Strangelove reaching more audiences, I worry that it being in black and white would maybe preclude some younger people seeing this.
I think really enjoying it. It certainly affected me the first time I saw it, probably. Even though I was an Abbott and Costello guy and like all that shit when I was a kid, like I watched a lot of black and white, but
I think that its age would be the first thing against it. Like I don't know, Chuck, how well you can attest to this, but it does not feel like the younger generations currently care much about anything outside of their lifespan. Like they don't go very far back into film or TV history.
They don't. My kids have liked many things that predate them that I've shown them, but not all of them.
But
and they're not actively seeking it out.
Right. Yeah. And I think part of that is because they're bombarded with so much new.
Yes.
There's no inclination to search out.
I would also say not only is there so much new quote unquote content. By the way, I am with Paul Mescal. I hate the word content. I hate that. Because it boils out all artistic possibility. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, they refer to much of what's referred to on streaming as content, not even movies, not TV shows. The word content.
Gotcha.
But I would say another thing that younger generations don't have as much as we did are television stations that would show movies.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
on commercial TV. It got to the point where like if you
I'll tell you the most important thing right now.
Into it. They're not funneled into it anymore.
I'll tell you the most important thing right now. They don't have the attention span.
Sure.
They do not. They don't even watch anything without a phone in their hands.
That's fair.
And something else going on. And they don't like things that are like more than 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's a convergence of a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, wasn't that what a lot of people thought we would run into with MTV?
Yeah.
That everything would be brought down into bite size.
Yeah. It's just gotten worse over time.
Way worse.
Yeah.
Well, it is. I will say that there is certainly a quality to stuff that goes onto YouTube, right? Like there is the idea of you can see a bite-sized bit of information about something, right? Like, and especially if it's something you're already kind of interested in. Like for me, for example, I can very easily load up one right after another, an average of 25-minute reviews from Cinema Snob or something, right? Or just line up a bunch of stuff I already know that I am interested in and want to watch. But, it's like I still have the attention span to go see a 3-hour movie. I still have and I have such the attention span that I like being at the movie theater so that I can't be distracted by anything. Like I can lock in,
but
and
it's
not
the seeking part of it too. Like my kids will go watch Five Nights at Freddy's because they know they already like it, and they'll devote that 1.5 hours or whatever that is to that because it's content. But what's my voice that they already like?
I do think that as they get older, they'll start looking backward more.
Sure. I would think so.
I mean, you look at I get encouraged by even like young actors today who are dropping movies that they've seen that they're impressed by. Like just an example, I was watching Mikey Madison's Criterion Closet. The first movie she picks up was 5 Easy Pieces and talked about how she thought it was Jack Nicholson's greatest performance. I was like, oh my gosh, she's seen 5 Easy Pieces. Like she's only 25 years old. That's awesome, right? So.
Paul Mescal did a list like that recently where there was
hope, right?
Stuff.
Like I think people who just like movies will always find good movies.
Yeah. I think it's just wading through that sea of sludge that's out there, especially on places like Tubi or, what have you, where it's like just slop is just getting thrown out there. And I'm not even talking about like franchise type slop. Most people, Chuck, your kids' age group would consider are getting to the point where it's like they're losing interest in stuff that's coming from Disney or from Marvel or whatever, and they refer to it as slop. Whereas I'm talking about like the true sludgy fucking garbage slop that is just like just because it's fucking January 1st doesn't mean we really need that Popeye horror movie. We don't really need it, but it's going to be there someplace, and it's going to catch a lot of attention. That
You're including taste in this in a lot of ways, though, too, because in a lot of ways, Marvel movies don't offer much to a lot of people.
Sure.
I'm not saying they don't offer anything to anyone, but they're, yeah.
And I'll tell you, when somebody wants to say that their taste is not Marvel movie, they will fucking make sure to tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
They will go out of their way to say that.
I was in a bookstore today. Remember those? And
what are books?
Books? And there's a Piglet novel. I was like, oh yeah, public domain. It's a hell of a thing.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I go to the bookstore with my kids and they walk around and look at shit. I try to bring that into their life, but
I think that would be a great gateway to older movies too, because like if you can get people, if somebody can get into the concept of zeroing in on 200 pages, right?
Yeah.
That's not much different than having the attention span to, then seek out other things that is not
that is what I
disposable
content. A lot
content.
of my ability to focus on is like on a novel.
Me too.
I don't read very many novels anymore. I can still hone in on a lot of nonfiction, especially if it's something I am interested in. But novels, are harder for me now.
Yeah. I think I barely read anymore for various reasons, but the part I miss most about it is constructing the picture in my head, and I don't think kids do a lot of that either. Like even Sarah will tell me, like, I can't even see it.
Some people
like when I'm reading I can't see it.
I'm not very good at holding like an image in my head. I've never had. Some people just aren't as able to do that.
But that's what movies are good for. Somebody saw the picture in a lot of these movies. They present it in a way that you might have seen it.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Yep.
Yeah. What a great movie. That's all.
This is.
I mean, we talked about its cultural relevance. Still, it's fucking hysterical. It's
so relevant. It's insanely relevant. If anybody here is listening, like, you'll be amazed how relevant this movie is if you watch it now. Yep.
Just remember,
especially if you're, even though, and don't
remember it's satire.
remember it's satire. 1, 2. Just because the guy who's wanting to bring about the master race has the only workable path forward to survival doesn't necessarily mean that they get any other credit for anything fucking else in history. Nor should they be followed in every suggestion that they make.
Oh man.
And it's give a black and white movie a shot. Come on, guys.
And this one looks fucking phenomenal.
It looks great. I think the thing is that I do think where some people, because I remember being younger and it's like thinking black and white was always old, right? But then as you get a little bit older, or as you experience a black and white movie, if you like it, then you realize you liked it because of the story. You didn't like it necessarily because it was in color, wasn't in color, whatever. It's like you grow to the stories, and you should go to the stories at that point, whether it's color, black and white, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, after all, if you read books, that's black and white.
Yes, it is for the most part, unless they have pictures and superheroes and stuff in them.
Well, I wanted to throw you guys a bone. I mean, I'm the one sitting over here who always makes the time to read every week, but So
next week we conclude this 5-week jaunt through the alphabet.
Yep.
And I hope I say this right. No, I'm just gonna say it. It's Ex Machina, right? It's a
Ex Machina.
Right? It is Machina.
Yeah.
That's how I wanted to say it, and I was like, "Am I saying that right?" So yeah, Ex Machina, a more modern film, right?
Yeah, is this our most contemporary of the month?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, no, Babylon.
Is, but it's not contemporary.
Yeah, I mean,
more contemporary.
Yeah, Ex Machina being a sci-fi. Yeah, I mean, sure.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I think it'll
Too.
be. I think it'll be a good
It's been a
time.
little while since I've seen it.
It'll be a first time watch for me.
Ooh,
Nice. I'm glad when we get a first time watch in a bunch.
Yeah.
That's fun to
Yeah.
hear the reaction.
Did you just say when we get a first time watch in a munch?
In the bunch.
Oh, in the bunch. Okay.
But this one's topical too.
Chalamet.
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 Timothy Chalamet.
So
I did see that.
That's so good.
So good times for next week. So next Wednesday is January 29th. That's when you find Ex Machina. And that you can go to filmseizure.com. That's where you can find the various places that we can upload or that we put our show onto, where you can subscribe to it and such, where you can find the various Dr. Strangelove filled social media sites. And also, you just get all of our episodes there. Go to filmseizure.com. In addition, go to filmseizure.com on Monday, the 27th. There, I have a new episode of Monster Mondays, and it's the final Godzilla film that I have yet to cover on Monster Mondays, which is Godzilla versus Megalon. That's the one where Godzilla, where Jet Jaguar holds a fucking Megalon in like a Nelson. It's like a full Nelson or something or whatever that's called.
Yeah.
And Godzilla slides on his tail and kicks him in the gut. It's fucking great. It's fucking great. It's good times. It's classic. It's classic Godzilla. Anyway, so that's all the same places, filmseizure.com. This upcoming Friday at my website, bmovieinema.com, probably the centerpiece of Pia Zadora Month, The Lonely Lady, Harold Robbins adaptation that is real bad, but in the good way. It's bad in the good way. So, yeah. Anyway. So, I think we did it. 350 in the can, everybody.
Woo!
Crazy.
Crazy.
And, until next time, we'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. And I've been Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm Merkin Moore.
I'm Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.